Hey guys, welcome back to another clip of Schach-manuel-lernen. Today with another round of the tournament from Weil am Rhein that I played. It was the fourth round and I had the white pieces a bit against a lower rated opponent. It was Sicilian defense and I went for knight c3. e6, so far nothing special, knight f6, and here I thought about something new to play, and it's bishop g5. The idea is of the pin of the knight. He goes out of the pin with queen, knight back, and yeah, then he played bishop b4. Bishop b4 also gives now the pin, and the idea in general is, do you want to sacrifice the bishop pair but damage the pawn structure? We will see a bit later how it's important, why, and so on. Play bishop d3, d6, castle. Now he decided to give up the bishop pair, and these two pawns are quite weak because they are on a semi-open file, but my compensation is the bishop pair. He played e5, and e5 is not the best move. The engine recommends to play knight d2 with the idea to go to c4, attacking queen and this weak pawn. Let's say if he plays bishop e6, we attack the knight here, king e7, something like that. Now the idea is the knight can jump there and there, and yeah, that would have been the correct way how to handle this situation. I went for rook b1, queen c7 now, but now it's a bit worse. And here I decided to go for f4. I thought it's the correct approach with the idea of f5 if he don't capture. And if he capture, I will recapture with rook and his knight will have a problem. The downside of this move is I allow his knight to go to this square. So that's the major problem. In this position I decided to give up the bishop, and now we have our pawn structure mirrored, like two pawns, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. So it's really a interesting pawn structure, and yeah, my target is this and his target is this. But as I mentioned before, the main problem is that, and he can just play that because there are some problems now on the dark squares. I played c4. In case he would capture, I would just recapture everything, and at the end d6 is hanging. And since his king is still in the middle, I have a better position. He went for rook g8, bishop e2 to avoid this knight move, rook g6, and queen f2. Queen f2 has this Doppelangriff, like double attack. It attacks a7 and f6 once more. How do you defend it? Rook g8 first, g3, and then queen c5. If I capture, he can capture and I can't recapture due to the pin. So this would lose a rook. So the question here was if I capture the queen or not. And the problem is if you capture, he will recapture with pawn, and then these two pawns are not as weak anymore because the file is closed. On the other hand, this file now is weak, and I'm just defending the rest of the game on this part. So I decided to went for another move, rook b5, and now either he trades the queens or he plays queen a3. That would have been the more spicier line, something like that. And it's also well-balanced position because I will win this pawn. His king now is a bit weaker because of the two open files, and yeah. In the game, he decided to capture on f2, capture with king, h5, going with the rook back to potentially defend g3, rook h6, h4. This move is important. It blocks this pawn on a white square. So my bishop finally is attacking something and not only defending something. Queen c7, knight f1. Knight f1 is the idea of rerouting the knight. And if he would capture on c4, I can just pin his pieces. a6, now as I mentioned the maneuver, capture. Rook e8. And here you can pause the video and think about what is the best move for white. It's not the toughest move, but I was so focused on this pawn that I simply missed that I could simply capture the pawn. By capturing, it's just dominance, because this pawn is really hard to stop, and at the same time, like, I would have had this. Why I didn't see it, I can only make speculations, but it was really, I was blinded by this pawn and I thought I have to defend it. So I played rook e3, which is a mistake because of the variation I showed you. Rook e5, rook f4, I don't want to trade. And here the problem is now, his king made already all the way to c5, and my king is not doing something active. That's why king e3. And after this I played bishop d3, but now his king is already too far advanced. I played c3, rook f1, rook g8 attacks g3, so I played this move. He walks with his pawns. King c1, rook g4 was a mistake from his side because I could have played rook e3, and that here is, yeah, a draw objectively. But yeah, here a few mistakes happened. Bishop b1. I thought about to protect this pawn, but the problem is the bishop is just way too passive. So here went capturing, and this pawn is more important than this one. Capture, bishop c2, another mistake. I simply should have played king and just trade as many pawns as possible to try for a draw. For your understanding, here black is much better in the position because his rooks are more active. This bishop is pretty useless and his king is much better than mine. So these are the factors why the engine says it's clearly won. So the game continued. I'm making a few moves. f6. I should have simply captured, but I was a bit worried about capturing here and rook h1 and so on. Would have been the best move. Red rook f5, different approach. Bishop d1, captures, capture there. And capturing on h5 was a mistake, but all the other moves are also losing actually. What's the problem? He can play knight c3, and here I realized, okay, I will lose the bishop, doesn't matter what I do. So for defending, I tried to get his 2 pawns with my rook, because if he has knight and rook against rook is a draw. And I knew that, so I played for it. King c2, captured, giving a check, capture there. Check. Yeah, and he, of course, he knows it as well, so he tries to avoid it. King d3, giving a check, and he wins another pawn. And now, yeah, it's unfortunately lost. I tried to do some more stuff, capturing, and running for the pawn, but he could defend it on time. And let's say if I play this, he just ignores it because I'm never able to capture it, because then his pawn will run to a queen. And if I do nothing, he wins the pawn, and yeah, it's a simply win with these 2 guys. So the main mistake was here. I simply should have captured on h5, and then it would have been a winning position. Unfortunately, I missed it, so yeah, the 4th game I lost, and was hard to recover for the 5th game. And yeah, with these words, I wish you a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your own games, and I hope you do it a bit better than I. See you guys.